Editors have hundreds of pages to fill. Bloggers, poor things, have content to produce like several times a day, some of them. That content has to come from somewhere. It does not come from their head. You are there to help them create good content. And once you approach PR this way, and think about your business and your relationship with editors, not just as a way to like promote and shout your name out to the world, but also as kind of a mutually beneficial thing, you will advance much farther in your efforts to get press for your business, because you will be thinking not just about yourself, but also like what is the content that I read, right? What do I see on blogs and magazines and whatever? What's missing? What expertise do I have that I can share with people, with brides, with couples, with whoever? Because they're always looking for those. I get emails all the time from journalists working on a story, and they're looking for sources to speak to on a specific subject. Or, you know, when I pitch my clients and I pitch story ideas to editors, they're usually very, very happy because they're all super overworked. They're all like very busy, crazy, typically single women in New York who just have insane lives. And as long as you make it easier for them by giving them good story ideas, giving them tips that they can include in articles, giving them great photos that match what they're looking for, all of those things are helpful, not just once, but it gives them a chance to realize that you're a good source and come back to you for other stories in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And you work with a lot of wedding companies, but it's going to be the same with other companies in the industry that are focused on whether it's corporate events or social events. I mean, there's Special Events Magazine, there's BizBash, there's all these other places, and getting the sources or finding the right people to send that information to, I think, is important. Let's talk about the value of PR. I find that sometimes people don't really see the value in PR, and they focus more on advertising or social media or AdWords campaigns. Where does the value of PR come in, and how is it different than traditional advertising?
Sure. So the value, I think PR is better in a way than advertising, although I encourage everybody to do both if they can. What PR gives you that advertising does not is an endorsement by another brand or an expert that is respected. So what I mean by that is when you see, let's say you're reading whatever, Martha Stewart Weddings, you see an ad. What that ad tells you, sort of psychologically in the back of your mind, what you register is, this is a brand that has money to get an ad in this newspaper. And yes, I will remember that brand, but only if I see it a bunch more times. And yeah, that's essentially two pieces of information that an ad gives you, right? That it's like, somebody has the money to spend on this, and if it's a brand I've recognized, okay, like it's in the back of my head, maybe I'll see it again. What PR gives you is more than that. It gives you an endorsement because an editor of, let's say, Martha Stewart Weddings or whatever magazine, New York Times, Special Events, chose to write about you and your product and your service, because the implication is you're somehow special, right? Like if you're a planner, you know there's thousands of other planners just in the US alone. So somebody reading a magazine and seeing an interview with a planner or guest post by them or whatever, thinks, oh, this planner must be really good at what they do, because otherwise why would this magazine pick them to interview them? Ad doesn't give you that. An ad is, you know, it's sort of, anybody can advertise in a way as long as they have money. It doesn't make them, the perception isn't that they're better at what they do in any way. Right. So that's, to me, the disadvantage of PR, which I should mention, to be honest, is that it's a little hard to track results of it. And I always warn my clients when I start working with a new client that it is this way. especially if you compare PR to like Google AdWords or Facebook ads, because a lot of PR is typically done not online. You can't like, there's no like click measure tool, right? If somebody advertises or somebody appears on TV or on radio or in print, it's very hard to track like any conversion essentially, unless it's online. And even online, unless there's a link, you can't really track conversions. However, that being said, once again it gives you something to work with, which advertising does not. So when you have a press hit appear about you, what is very, very important to do is blow it up as much as you can through your own resources. So there's lots of, and a lot of people don't do this, and like I don't get why, because it's super easy to do. But I think people assume that once you're like in the New York Times, that's it. You're made, and everybody's going to call you, and it's going to be like the perfect client, and you're going to make lots of money. But that's not really always the case. So one of the things that you should do with any press hit, and especially if you already have some, and I'm sure some of you do, is use them. Use them as much as you can. Put them on social media. Put them on your blog if you have it. Put them in your office if you have a physical space where you meet with clients. It works really well. It looks very, very impressive for people, because people have this like innate respect for press. Put it in your portfolio if you're physically sharing a portfolio with your client. I've had, when I just started working, one of my first clients was a small wedding photographer business. And I got them a ton of press just because they had so many cool, interesting weddings that nobody was seeing anywhere else. And they started, once they had actual print, spreads of their weddings, they put them in a portfolio, and they started telling me that their clients, the brides, were just going crazy for this stuff because, I don't know, every bride sort of dreams that she will appear in, in a fancy magazine, even if they're not conscious of it. But once they see that it's possible and another bride appears, they kind of dream of it. So it was making the selling process much easier for them, is what they told me. And I've seen that with other clients as well. So it's up to you to do stuff with